for the second plenary about this huge hydrogen market, it's my pleasure to call on stage first the panelists, and then I'll finish with the chairman of this session. It's my pleasure to call Mrs. Amina Ben Khadra, General Director of the National Office of Hydrocarbons and Mines, ONIM, of the Kingdom of Morocco. Mrs. Amina Ben Khadra, if you may, join us on stage. And a real applause, ladies and gentlemen. Madame Ben Khadra, je vous en prie, installez-vous. The Vice President, Hydrogen Solutions, Innovex, Mr. Amin Hussein. Mr. Philippe Christiani, Partner, Copenhagen Infrastructure Partner, CIP. Mr. Jafar Qabbaj, Chief Growth Officer at GESA. Mr. Driss Berrahou, Vice President, Business Development, Green Hydrogen, Aqua Power. Mr. Raphael Thilo, Chief Executive Officer, John Cockerill Hydrogen. And Mr. Eric Festa, Vice President, Hydrogen Business and Project Development at Total Energies. And this session will be moderated and chaired by Mr. Cornelius Mattes, Chief Executive Officer, The Desert Energy. The floor is yours.
Hello, everybody. It's wonderful to see such a full and dynamic room with so many friends, cooperation partners, people. And for those of you who remember my speech last year in June, I said, I'm always so excited to come back to this beautiful city, to Marrakesh, because 23 years ago, I went actually first time, and we went to the Toubkal and to Imlil, to this beautiful mountain villages. And you can imagine how shocked I was when I heard about the terrible earthquake. So first of all, let me convey really sincere condolences on all families. It will be difficult times and suffering, but I'm 100% sure it will be all rebuilt even nicer than before. So we are, of course, all standing together and supporting where we can. Well, actually, in 2011, we had also difficult events here in April. I remember our partners, they all wanted to call off the meeting in May 2011. We did it. That is also very nice memories. And I really want to say congratulations to Sami, to all the colleagues, to organize such an event in difficult times. And I think, you know, the demonstration to see everybody here, this is really a commitment. This is standing together. But I would just like to give a brief view on how we see the development now in the region, and maybe to initiate this panel, which is on a very important topic on market development. So we see actually a really dynamic development after the pandemic. During the pandemic in Morocco and many other countries, projects were delayed, temporary very high panel prices. Now we are at the lowest price ever. Financing costs, unfortunately, this is not a windfall anymore. So bringing some challenges, the significantly increased financing costs, but now things are kind of unlocked. We have gigawatts and gigawatts of capacity, which will be brought to the grid. I'm based in Dubai, and only the UAE, the small country, will bring more than 3 gigawatts of solar to the grid this year, bringing over a capacity of more than 6 gigawatts. Saudi, we have several gigawatts under construction, Egypt. So I think we are really moving in the space, which we always call exponential growth. And if you look at hydrogen, hydrogen is also already mainstream, you know. Basically, no country in the region is ignoring the development. Morocco has been an early mover with the Royal Hydrogen Commission. few years ago, and it's great to see the OCP project and other initiatives like the German supported project now picking up and hopefully being realized soon. I think that's a very important development. Well, we see really a race. We see countries like Oman firmly executing on a well-designed program with the objective 1 million tons of green hydrogen by 2030. I see people from Oman sitting here. It's an impressive program. The minister supports it. He's touring everywhere, and it's a comprehensive framework. It's impressive. It's part of Oman Vision 2040. So I think the message is that the race is on. So I think there is first move advantages in all the ingredients we need. They're kind of coming together. Europe is moving slowly but steadily to improve the regulatory framework. You know, there has been a painful exercise on the delegated act, but it's getting step by step more friendly. We see H2 Global improving, the hydrogen bank, this coming together, just to name a few. So I think the environment to jointly fuel this exponential growth is really getting there step by step. So I don't have personally any doubt that we see several big projects similar to NEOM Green Hydrogen, which of course the whole world is watching now, the world's largest green hydrogen project under construction, led by Aqua Power, together with Air Products and NEOM. So this is, of course, the project everybody's watching. This has huge relevance in the world, and it had financial close just in May, $8.4 billion, 23 banks, I think over $6 billion project finance, non-recourse project finance debt. So this is pretty impressive, and hopefully we see more to come. Maybe just briefly, being based in the COP in the UAE, there will be COP28 in 2.5 months. I personally see a huge opportunity to move on some of the crucial factors. The tripling initiative, many of you must have seen an announcement yesterday, New York at the Climate Week, the tripling initiative. We are proudly part of this SDI to triple the global installed renewable capacity by 2030. But maybe carbon, this is a word many use, but the price of carbon, this is really the big factor in the room. So if you look at the UAE, in 2015, the UAE was the first country in GCC to completely phase out fossil fuel subsidies. Other countries are following slowly, some faster, but accelerating this phase out of fossil fuel subsidies, which are the biggest obstacle to renewables development and very unfair from a social point of view. I think this is one thing, but imagine if the UAE, like introducing net zero 2050 2 years ago, imagine if the UAE introduced the price for carbon, even a smaller price for carbon, just a symbolic one. This would be a game changer. And I see a kind of a window of opportunity. Let's see whether there's enough courage to make this happen. It would be a huge, huge step and really massively accelerate the development. So on Morocco, maybe just 2 or 3 more words. We had a wonderful opportunity to bring many of our partners to Dakhla this year, hosted by our partner Nareva, and many of our other Moroccan partners like Mazen, of course, Jeza, were there. And well, it was just an eye-opener, you know, like you go to NEOM, you see NEOM with your own eyes, it's really amazing, but go to Dakhla, you see Dakhla with your own eyes, and many, I think, different people that were there, and it's just amazing, these wind conditions. This is unique in the world, and Morocco has all the ingredients to become a global leader, a global producer powerhouse, I would say, on the green electron molecule side, and also a trading hub. It was mentioned in the morning, Morocco is the first country to be connected to Europe since 1998, actually, with subsea cables, and there's more to come. There's the pipeline is there. So Morocco has all the ingredients. It's great to see also the renewed momentum on the partnership with Germany, with Europe. It's great to see the big interest of developers. So I can only advise to use this first move advantage wisely now. The race is really on. All the countries are moving. They're obviously competing to get the developers, the best investors. So this is really Morocco's chance to make it happen. So with this, I would like to open the panel and thank you all for listening to my opening. Maybe let's ask with you, Dries, on neon green hydrogen. Everybody's always excited on the characteristics. Maybe you would like to give a brief update, and maybe in general, I think Aqua Power, since you went public last year, has been even an accelerated success story. So maybe you'd like to update us on some other plans by Aqua Power.
Sure. Thanks, Cornelius, for the introduction, and good afternoon, everyone. We're very pleased to be here today to share with you a few insights, especially here in Marrakesh. So maybe for those of you who are not very familiar with Aqua Power, so we are a Saudi company. We are incorporated and based out of Riyadh in Saudi Arabia. I mean, since our incorporation in 2004, we fairly fast grew into a relevant player into the power and seawater desalination markets. Today, we have around 50 gigawatts of contracted capacity in the power business, out of which 20 is exclusively renewables. On the flip side, as well, on the desalination, we're one of the largest desalination company in the world. We have a contracted capacity of around 7.5 million cubic meter per day, including some of the lowest tariffs in the world for seawater desalination below $0.4 per cubic meter. Why is this relevant? Well, I guess this is quite important when we talk about green hydrogen. These are some of the two key and critical ingredients into producing green hydrogen at scale and competitively. And we believe that from that realization back in 2019, when we started looking into that, this is where we effectively eventually originated the NEOM green hydrogen concept alongside our joint venture partners. So Air Products, who is an industrial leader, I would say a leader in industrial gases, as well as NEOM, who is the developer and owner of the land area where we're developing the project. So once we initiated this project in 2020, fast forward, this project has now financially closed and since May this year, and is under construction. So it's a very interesting project in its scale. So by 2026, we hope to be producing around 1.2 million tons of green ammonia per year, with a fairly large portfolio of renewables in excess of 4 gigawatts, and as well on the electrolysis side, a little bit more than 2 gigawatts. So, I mean, the lesson that we got from there is that definitely these projects are challenging, either on the implementation side, but as well on the conceptualization, and eventually on the marketing of the product that we will see in the next few years. But that doesn't effectively extinguish our ambitions, because today, I mean, we're looking at extending our pipeline beyond Saudi Arabia, starting from Indonesia, where we are partnering with some of the local grid operator and fertilizer company. In Uzbekistan, where we have signed a hydrogen purchase agreement with the local fertilizer company as well. We'll be delivering around 3,000 tons of hydrogen per year to deliver green fertilizers into the European market. And as well duplicating the experience, hopefully, in the Middle East and North Africa.
Well, and for Morocco, you're by far the biggest IPP here with solar, wind, CSP, PV, everything. What about Morocco?
So in Morocco, our history started back in 2012 with the Noor Ouarzazate solar complex, where we're quite fortunate to actually win on a competitive basis the entire platform, which today is around 580 megawatt of solar capacity that is fully operational. But beyond that as well, we have a few other solar photovoltaic facilities that are in operation in the areas of Laayoune and Boujdour, as well as a wind farm in the north of Morocco. So it's been a very successful story for us, as Morocco has been a little bit of the cradle of our renewable experience, and which we have been able to effectively duplicate globally. And now I think that we are one of the fast growing companies in the renewables, where we are fortunate to be implementing alongside the government of Saudi Arabia a substantial portion of the renewable program. So out of the 50% of the capacity that will be turned green by 2030 in Saudi Arabia, we're implementing 70% of that alongside the PIF, the Sovereign Wealth Fund of Saudi Arabia. and that represents around 40 to 50 gigawatt of capacity that we'll be implementing over that period of time, which provides a fairly competitive basis to deliver large-scale green hydrogen projects. So
that's impressive. Well done. I think a lot to learn, and thank you also for being courageous enough in leading such a unique green hydrogen project, which of course is now pulling the entire industry globally. But I think the offtake will be more challenging for future projects. There will not be always a company like Air Products in place, and that's also what we are kind of working on. Philip, Copenhagen Infrastructure Partners is it's very well known in Europe, but in the region you're increasingly looking at opportunities. Morocco, I saw you in Oman. That's an interesting one as well. How do you see the region, and maybe I'd love to hear as well on a little bit dynamics in Europe on the regulatory side, off-takers, and how you see this currently?
Thank you very much, and thanks for having us here today. For those of you who don't know Copenhagen Infrastructure Partners, we are a $26 billion fund manager in Copenhagen, only invested into renewable wind and solar all over the world, in the US, Latin America, Middle East, Europe, Asia, and Australia. And of the 26 billion, we have a dedicated fund of a little more than 3 billion to focus on green hydrogen. We are developing 5 projects in Europe. We're developing in Australia, in the Middle East, in Oman, as you said. We were fortunate enough to win the first tender in Oman. We have discussions here in Morocco for development. We develop in Chile and in the US. And when we talk about the discussion of offtake, we are fortunate enough to be located in one of the markets where this discussion has developed quite a bit in Europe. And the logic of this offtake, whether it's in Europe or whether it's in anywhere else, is for most situations something about legislation. We all have to realize that this will not be cost competitive with existing energy, and there's only one way to get it competitive, and that is through legislation. And you've seen the development of the systems in Europe. What's first and foremost known as the ETS, the carbon trading system in Europe, that's now trading carbon at around $100 per ton of CO2. You've seen the CBAM, or the mechanism that will adjust imports of non-taxed products into Europe. But more importantly, we also see all the new legislation around shipping, EU Fuel Maritime, around airlines, around road transportation. And while the EU system is not maybe moving as fast as one could have hoped for, especially not if you compare to legislators in the US. When the EU system moves, it moves with some consideration. And we are seeing the effects of this in the discussions we have with off-takers. We have very serious discussions now on steel. So the first steel contracts have been signed, and they are signed in a way where the mechanics of producing hydrogen based on solar and wind can work out. You will probably have noted that a very large company, H2 Green Steel, finalized a very large equity round a couple of days ago, and they did so because they've now sold 60% of their capacity in Boden in Sweden, based on hydrogen produced with electrolyzers. So I think this is one of the very first examples outside of NEOM where you get a real project finance in this way. And we see the same kind of discussions in shipping, with airlines, with fertilizer, in meaningful ways where we're now building the understanding of the need for a green premium as a part of the product economics.
Yeah, thank you very much, Philip. And well, I remember we met first in 2011 at this meeting, and you gave an inspiring speech. I mean, that was really impressive. We had this dinner. You were minister at the time, and you're still one of the key people in Morocco for the energy transition. So I'm honored that you're on our panel today, and we love to hear your perspective.
So, yeah, we all in this room share the fact that green hydrogen has gained a great interest for being a vector for the energy transition because it can help secure the energy mix, help us go to a more sustainable development and lower the gas emissions. So we are all dedicated, policymakers, financial institutions, research, innovation, operators, to make this a reality, because we have also to be sure today that it's not yet competitive and there is still a lot to do in several areas to make this green hydrogen competitive for the benefit of our planet. On the specific technical side, there are a lot of improvement that should be done in the short term. For instance, there are a lot of losses in the process for electrolyzers. The cost of production is too high. There is a lack of infrastructure, especially for transporting this specific product. We have only 5,000 kilometers of green hydrogen gasoduct compared with more than 3 million kilometers for the natural gas. There is also lack of market. We should work together to make green hydrogen for cement, for chemical industries, for many other areas. We need to prepare all the specific regulatory framework in terms of incentives, in terms of support, in terms also of different specific parameters that will help this sector. So there is still a lot to do, but at the same time, we can be very optimistic because it will benefit from the very competitive price of renewable energy, mainly solar and wind, that make this more competitive. And we look that there is a lot of research and innovation undertaking everywhere in the world. And the power system will benefit a lot from hydrogen because it will stabilize the network and it will help limit the intermittence of the energy. So for all those regions, I think that efforts should be conducted by all the parties to make it competitive very soon. And for the case of Morocco, as you were remembering my speech in 2011, speaking about the potential of Morocco for the renewable energy, today we are all here to share that Morocco is very well placed because of its high dense resources for wind and solar with very good parameters, which make the cost of electricity the most competitive in the region. And secondly, Morocco has proved its capacity at managing very important projects and very great strategies. Third, there is a lot of dedicated works undergoing right now with the roadmap, which will be presented by the Moroccan government under the leadership of His Majesty. The researchers and the big institutions like OCP, University Mohammed VI, IRISEN are totally dedicated to contribute to those improvements and the technological development that should be done. And they are working with several other laboratories all over the world. So we are going on the process to be a major actor in this. Secondly, due to our geographic position, and to our territory, we have also availability of land, very large areas that can support the constructions of those big plants of solar and wind, because we are speaking right now about gigawatt of capacity, not only 100 megawatts. That will be huge. Morocco has land for this, has the best competitive resources, and is close to Europe, with whom we have the Green Pact that will support the development of this new energy vector and contribute to decarbonize also big industries in Morocco and in Europe, because we will be in the possibility to export green hydrogen in form of hydrogen or ammonia, but at the same time to contribute to our own continent. So I think that we can be optimistic about our country in this great revolution that the world is knowing, with supporting this new vector of energy, which is hydrogen. But there is still a lot to do to make it competitive and to make it a reality.
Thank you very much. And I really would like to stress that still today, people, they remember this famous speech you gave at our partner meeting. So that was so inspiring. And maybe the last comment on infrastructure. In your function, you're also looking at pipelines. There's an existing pipeline to Spain. There is existing electricity grids. Morocco will connect to the West African power pool. Would you maybe briefly comment on this? Because that's also a big competitive advantage for Morocco.
Yes, as the main areas of production will be in the south, we have seen this morning the president of Gelmim. It's a very well area for this, but there are also the other 2,000 provinces of Dakhla and Laayoune. And from this area, we are knowing that there are big infrastructures under development, the port of Dakhla and many others. And I want here to highlight the fact that also we are working very hardly on the gazoduct Nigeria-Morocco, with its north part coming from Senegal, Mauritania, going through Morocco and connected to the gazoduct Maghreb Europe in the north to be used for the export to Europe. We are totally dedicated to it, and the north part is under final studies, and we have been working on it to be also available for hydrogen, not only for blending it for some proportion, 10 to 15, but we have also worked on a specific corridor that can have the gazoduct, natural gas, and the hydrogen. So all the studies are dedicated to this, just to show that Morocco is working on all the aspects of this very important new filière, and infrastructures are also in our interest. And gazoduct Nigeria-Morocco will be, I'm sure, in the north part, a very important piece for hydrogen. And we are prepared to.
Wonderful. Thank you very much for your important elaborations. I mean, you are part of OCP in a group which is looking at realizing the first pilot here in Morocco. I think it's quite exciting. Could you update us on what stage exactly are, where we can expect it being operational, and what are the successive plans after this pilot?
Thank you very much. So maybe just stepping back on the question, I mean, my colleagues on the panel have already mentioned that we think of hydrogen as the silver bullet. It's not. It's definitely one piece of the solution. And I think Morocco have already demonstrated that it can leverage its renewable power resources for electrification. We think that hydrogen can complement this endeavor. I think it is also important to materialize that there are sectors that are hard to abate, for which electricity cannot play directly the role in terms of decarbonization. I think clearly there, hydrogen is a candidate that can support that endeavor as well, and also allowing a multiple approach solutions where we can also have leverage in terms of arbitration of what's the best solution for us to tackle the industry decarbonization. So when we think of that, there are then one constraint and one opportunity for Morocco. The constraint is that thanks to hydrogen, we can also avoid some heavy investments in pieces of the infrastructure that might not be needed for the industry in the future. And I think this is also a key optimization that is allowed thanks to the hydrogen development. On the other hand, is that there are some components of industry that become more and more relevant when hydrogen is available. And I think this is also something that we look at very carefully, because development of hydrogen goes hand in hand with the development of the upstream, of course, the renewable capacity that is really favored in the country through the availability of renewable power and land for that, but also what are the opportunities from an industrial standpoint that can be triggered with the hydrogen development. So all this come, of course, with many challenges, but I think that the opportunities are so high that I think that the challenges are worth trying to solve. Now, I think you mentioned that about how can we move in the context that we know today, where the situation have evolved from a financing standpoint, but also from a, let's say, a global context. And what will be the advantage for first movers in terms of developing those ecosystems? And I think this is really one of the key points that we are trying to crack at the moment, and where definitely cooperation in this field is a game changer. I think likely minded companies that want to move fast, that want to be part of this solution from a comprehensive standpoint, not only tackling one piece of the problem, but looking at it from a comprehensive view, will definitely benefit and collect the dividends from that first mover advantage. I think this is where I want to stress the importance of cooperation and partnerships in this regard. Now, Innovex is a company that is part of the UM6P, part of the OCP group, and we have a mandate to, of course, develop and execute the great ambition of the OCP group in regard to green ammonia. But nonetheless, the UM6P the university have been already very active in the field of trying to anchor some fundamentals of the renewable hydrogen, I would say, ecosystem through research, but also with a very pragmatic approach by building facilities that will be used both by academics and by industrials to be able to conduct research, develop learning, develop trainings, because the whole challenge with hydrogen can not only be the production of the molecule, but also all the developments that come with it. And of course, when we think about development, we first think about the human development, where we can, of course, seize this opportunity to develop new skills, to develop trainings, to develop expertise that we will desperately need if we want to sustain the efforts of hydrogen in Morocco. And I think this has been really the angle on which the university, but also the whole OCP, is contemplating this great challenge that we have at hand. Now, from an ambition standpoint, of course, OCP has committed to develop green ammonia in Morocco with 1 million ton expected to be delivered by 2027. OCP has a lot of advantages in doing so. As a fertilizer company that has committed for carbon neutrality by 2040, it is extremely important to find ways to decarbonize the scope 3 emissions, which are embedded in the ammonia that the group consumes today. And therefore, green ammonia production is one way actually to reach those ambitious objectives.
Yeah, thank you very much. I think on capacity building, you make a super important point, training. Even in Europe, this is the biggest challenge, to find all the people to implement the energy transition. And this is a huge challenge to train all the people here, but a huge opportunity because millions of jobs can be created. And I'm really glad you're spearheading this initiative. Thank you very much for your contributions. Well, Jafar, JESA is a joint venture also between OCP. OCP is, I think, a 50% shareholder, and Wooly, also all the partners. So you're active well beyond Morocco, right? Love to hear your perspective a little bit. I came across your colleagues at Africa Energy Forum, and you have big ambitions. So looking forward to your speech.
Indeed, thank you, Cornelius. JESA, as an engineering and construction company, and also being part of the Worley organization, is trying to play an important role in delivering the capital projects linked to the Power-to-X. Sometimes it is overlooked, but capital projects are extremely important in this industry because the CapEx plays a disproportionate role in the competitiveness of the industries in Power-to-X, and therefore making sure that capital excellence in the different projects is extremely important for the competitiveness, as well as in respecting the timelines to bring the molecules to life on the market. And for all the components of project delivery, whether it's engineering, supply chain, and construction, all three parts will have to play an important role in ensuring the capital excellence, which in turn will ensure profitability and, let's say, bankability of all these projects that we are talking about. Some of the challenges that we trying to tackle, not only in Morocco, but as you mentioned in Africa in general, and also maybe this is relevant for other places in the world, particularly in Morocco and Africa, because we are not, historically in industrialized regions. So the executing capital projects is becoming even more critical and more difficult in Morocco and in the rest of Africa as well. So on the engineering front, we see major challenges that, if solved, could turn as an opportunity for the industry, whether it's on the nature of resources required and on the capacity and the volume of resources required as well. We're talking probably about thousands, if not in the tens of thousands of engineers and professionals that would be involved in building the kind of CapEx scale we are looking at in Morocco alone. As if we only look at Morocco, it would be tens of thousands of people, engineers that needs to be trained and scaled up in order to be able to deliver those projects. Of course, we can rely on expertise globally in the initial couple projects that will be happening in the region, but we need absolutely to build expertise hubs in order to support all those developments. One of the ways also we look at is to develop some standardized concepts for the assets that will be built so that we can tackle the challenge of scaling up quickly across the value chain of Power-to-X. This is going to be solving the issue of human capacity, but also in terms of standardizing the materials, components, equipment that needs to be fabricated, maybe locally, hopefully locally, because also let's not forget, in the region, it's not the only projects that are happening. We have projects happening all across the world. So there will be strong competition on all the supply. So it's important also to think about making sure we have a good and competitive basis of supply for all the materials and the components in our country here in Morocco and for the rest of the continent. Then construction. Construction is also where you make it or break it in terms of timelines and in terms of cost of the assets. So we are working very hard to ensure that we master all the developments that are coming in terms of availability of construction skills. As I mentioned, we're not in a region that historically has a lot of industrial construction experience. We have a very good experience, but it's not enough versus the scale that we're talking about. So developing the disciplines that are in shortage in our region, and taking just one example, piping, for instance, is something that we always struggle to find and to dedicate to this kind of projects, but also trying to introduce new methodologies of construction, such as modularization, advanced work packaging. In any case, all the techniques that will ensure that we're able to respect the timelines and the costs, and also the quality, of course, of the assets that our clients and partners are willing to trust that with. But in any case, the EPC industry itself will be very challenged in delivering the assets for Power-to-X on quality, on time, on cost, and obviously on in safe conditions, as it always should be in all capital projects.
Thank you very much, Jaffa. That was very insightful. Well, it's a huge panel. We still have more colleagues here. So Eric, nice to have you with us as well. And yeah, with Total Energy, we've been working together as well on creating Zeta zero emission trade alliance as a sister to the main hydrogen alliance The launch was last week, actually, to create a tradable market step by step for molecules, both for the virtual product, any zero emission, can be hydrogen, can be electrons, but of course also virtually. And you have a background in LNG, so I'd love to hear your view on market development, how we can jointly develop such a market. And I know that TotalEnergies also set up a new company, which we'd be excited to hear more about, specifically on hydrogen.
Yes, thank you, Cornelius. Indeed, there are a few similarities we can draw with the LNG industry, and one of them is that for the green hydrogen market, there will be a lot of barriers to entry, unlike the renewable power market. I think some of them are, it's a very capital-intensive business, requires billions of dollars to produce 100,000 tons of hydrogen per year. It's also complex to design and to operate. It's not just a plug-and-play type of business, even if we can try to standardize some equipment. Both the electrolysis and the Haber-Bosch process requires a stable flow, whereas wind and solar by nature are intermittent, so that needs to be managed. And also, as it was mentioned before, this industry will, for market to develop, will need to install infrastructure, storage, transport, export, on the receiving side, receiving terminals, etc. So it's not a surprise that, in fact, green hydrogen will be expensive, will be costly for all these reasons. And I think it was said also before by Philip, but the customers will not buy green hydrogen because it's cheaper than the alternative they are using today, but they will buy it because they have to. And this is the role that the regulation plays in this market. Today, the EU, that's the market that's the closest to here, the EU is working a lot to promote, in fact, green hydrogen as a for the fuel, as a renewable fuel, and is creating a favorable environment. In fact, it's in this context that TotalEnergies announced last week that launching a tender for the supply of green hydrogen for our European refineries. It's a total of 500,000 tons per year by 2030. And in effect, this is a way to kickstart the market, particularly in Europe, by creating a pool on the demand side. Indeed, we believe that by 2030, the main drivers for an increase in the market will be, or in the green hydrogen market, will be from areas where green hydrogen can just substitute existing hydrogen uses, gray hydrogen. So that's refining, that's fertilizers, typically industries where the hydrogen can be used without any modification through the process, by just simply substituting gray hydrogen that is used currently. So this is on the demand side of the market. On the supply side, TotalEnergies is also very active. And this is where I can explain also this new company that we set up. So as you probably knew, we had we were shareholders of a company called Total Eren, with an IPP with a very good track record for renewable development globally. So last July, TotalEnergies exercised an option to acquire full 100% of Total Eren. But the hydrogen business or opportunities that were developed by Total Eren in the last few years, based on renewable electricity, is continuing as a separate entity called TEH2, which is owned 80% by TotalEnergies as a majority and strategic shareholder, and 20% by Eren, which brings his agility and track record as an independent power producer in the renewable business. So TEH2 is very active in developing a number of positions worldwide in areas and regions which have abundant renewable resources, such as Morocco, and with the objective to be ready for when this market develops, to be able to start developing export projects, both for export but also for local uses in the countries that we're aiming. And recognizing what has been said before of the number of strengths that Morocco presents in this respect, from the abundance of resources, especially in the areas of Gelmim, also the proximity to Europe, the presence of of industrial actors already in Morocco and some infrastructure. So all this together, combined by the fact that TotalEnergies has been present in Morocco for nearly 100 years now through its distribution network and other activities such as our affiliate Hutchinson. So we have there a lot of attraction for developing this hydrogen market from Morocco, and clearly it stands as one of our top priorities and top opportunities in our portfolio. I believe that in fact, before the market becomes global, there is an opportunity for a regional market to develop between North Africa and Morocco being on the top of this of the agenda with Europe due to this proximity and this already intricate relationship between the different actors between Europe and Morocco. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Eric. Well, Raphael is here, so that was impressive to see your factory in June in Liège. Cockerill has big plans, so please do update us a little bit on what your views are on how you see the scaling up process now, as you know, one of the main manufacturers of the key component for making a hydrogen value chain happen.
Thank you, Cornelius. Good afternoon to all. Indeed, if you look at the value chain which we have to develop together, this Power-to-X value chain, this segment of the chain which is new at scale is the electrolysis. The ability to deploy a large volume of electrolyzer with the right level of quality, reliability, and costs still has to be proven. And this is where we, John Cockerill, come. As you may know, we are today one of the leading manufacturers of electrolyzers. We have more than 1,300 references. In Morocco, we have announced the development of a factory to manufacture electrolyzers here in Morocco. We are doing this in partnership with a leading champion here in Morocco. And the objective is to manufacture electrolyzers here in Morocco for the local markets and possibly also for export. Of course, one of the challenges is the costs, the competitivity. These equipments are large in size, heavy in weight. Typically, one stack of our technology has a weight of more than 50 tons. These equipment require heavy maintenance after, say, 8 years, a bit more, a bit less. Therefore, we are convinced that we need to manufacture locally these equipments. We need to manufacture them closer to the demands, to where the projects will be built. These are high technology equipments. And this is where a company like John Cockerill can bring to Morocco its technology. As I say, we have a large number of references. It's a technology we know well. It's a technology which is mature and which will continue progressing pretty fast in the future. So what we will bring to Morocco is a solid technology today, but also access to future development of the technology. Beyond that, we need workforce. And here in Morocco, it's a country we know well. We employ today in Morocco, John Cockerill, about 500 people in a range of projects, engineering, installation, maintenance, manufacturing, in the industry, in the energy, in the infrastructure segments. So it's a place we know well. We know that in Morocco, we can find competent and efficient workforce. So this is our approach. It's an approach which is truly integrated in the offre Maroc. In the world of today, what we observe in Morocco, as well as in other parts of the world, is that for certain technologies like electrolysis, there is a genuine objective to control the sourcing of this technology. So the ability to manufacture here in Morocco, primarily to serve the local demand of Morocco, is a key objective of the kingdom. So this is the strategy of John Cockrell. Next to our offering in terms of electrolyzers, we have also announced a partnership with Technip Energies. With Technip Energies, we have formed a joint venture which will offer integrated solution, EPC type offering for turnkey green molecule projects. So this is a complementary offering to the supply of the equipment. We are also, through this Rely joint venture, in a position to offer the full scope, the full turnkey solution. Thank you.
Well done. You're the first mover here in Morocco, and this is exactly what the region needs. Transfer of technology, localization, being close to future big markets. Also, you didn't even mention Abu Dhabi. You have the other announcement in Abu Dhabi to set up also 1 gigawatt factory there. So I can only congratulate, and hopefully you inspire other of the key players to follow suit. But let's give the floor for the closing words to Her Excellency Amina Benkader as Foreign Minister as well. And I'm sure you will again inspire us, Amina. The word is here, the floor is here for the last closing words.
Yes, as we are all facing this climate change, we have 126 countries that have signed and fixed their objectives for 2050, but they are not working very quickly on achieving those objectives. So we need a real level of interaction between all those countries so that we can accelerate the path to these objectives of 2050, and this will need several things to make this green hydrogen the factor for this, the vector for this transition. We have to work on the regulatory side on different areas and countries. Some have started, but in Morocco we are working on, because we have to create the best appropriate investment climate. There are still so many risks in the act of investing that we have to make investors sure about what they are going to do. We have to continue and increase the work on innovation, research and development. And as Cochrane has said, we need to improve a lot of equipment to make them more efficient, to reduce the cost of prices. And this will not be able if we do not work very strongly together, and also work on the transfer of technology, like what has been done and said for Morocco. We do not want only to import things, we want to be part of the creation and the development. We have so to give great support to this process of innovation and research development. We have also to work on the specific aspect of certifications and reconnaître, disons, la provenance du green hydrogen, traceability, and track this project. So there is also great work to be done here. Things are not well defined all over the world. And we have to work and accelerate the demonstration projects so that it can show that it will be competitive and we can use it in the future and contribute to the acceleration of the path of development of green hydrogen. Hydrogen has been by the past an exciting product, but I think that today with green hydrogen, we have to go ahead and to accelerate all those efforts and work and inside a very strong cooperation, because without this, we will not succeed.
Thank you so much. That was a perfect close. So let me congratulate all our panelists, and thank you very much.